You hear the music. Hello, everybody. I'm Matt Robinson, and welcome to another exciting edition of the League Wraparound. This is the program that gets you caught up on anything and everything happening around the world of the NFL. Coming up on this edition of the program, we'll preview Week 10's most important games, including Sunday Night Football between the Detroit Lions versus Houston Texans, and Monday Night Football between Los Angeles Rams versus the Miami Dolphins. Plus, we have your Week 10 game picks. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. All right, as always, I like to start off with my top three storylines. I like to start off talking about the New Orleans Saints. It has been a roller coaster of a year for the Saints. The Saints haven't been to the playoffs in quite some time. After the Drew Brees era, or actually I should say within the last 3 years or maybe 4 years of the Drew Brees era, there were a lot of people, including myself, were saying that the Saints should have begun the rebuilding process and finding the next quarterback that could replace Drew and take the team to the next level and start a brand new. The Saints failed to do so. And then with the abrupt retirement, the sudden retirement, I should say, of head coach Sean Payton, Dennis Allen becomes his replacement, and it just was downhill. And as a result of that, the Saints finally pulled the plug, and this week, Gail Benson fired Dennis Allen, and Allen is no longer the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. The interim head coach will be Darren Rizzi, who is the special teams coordinator. Now, let me just be the first to say that I don't call for people losing their jobs and don't rejoice in people losing their jobs, but this was something that had to happen. It should have happened a long time ago. But getting rid of Dennis Allen is really the first step in what should be now a proper rebuild and a proper restructuring of the New Orleans Saints. Could Mickey Loomis be gone? I don't know. Only time will tell. But the first domino that fell is the New Orleans Saints firing former head coach Dennis Allen after almost 3 seasons in New Orleans. And during Allen's time with the team, the Saints failed to make the playoffs. So they still have a lot of work to do on that team. They still have a lot of veterans with big contracts. They have salary cap issues. So let's see what the Saints will do going forward with Coach Rizzi. Honestly, I thought they were going to make Clint Kubiak the interim, but again, we'll see. I mean, if Darren Rizzi can boost the morale of the team, and maybe they'll play with enough fight, maybe they'll play with have enough dog in them, and maybe Darren Rizzi could be a head coaching candidate, or maybe Clint Kubiak may be interviewed, or they may go outside of the Saints coaching staff and may interview a few people. We don't know, but anyway, at this present moment, Dennis Allen, no longer the head coach of the Saints, and special teams coordinator Darren Rizzi is the interim head coach. And I have more news on the Saints in just a little bit, but that's the latest on what's going on in the Crescent City. My next storyline is going to be the Dallas Cowboys. So we talk about the Saints having a dumpster fire of a year. You could say the same thing about the Dallas Cowboys as well. So we found out that Ezekiel Elliott, one of the networks that covers the NFL Sunday coverage, they said that Ezekiel Elliott did not make the trip with the team. It was later revealed in information that he had missed team meetings during the week. That was the reason why he didn't make the trip with the team to Atlanta, with the Cowboys losing to the Falcons. So you got Zeke Elliott missing team meetings. As a result of that, he didn't make the trip to Atlanta. Then on top of that, suffers a hamstring injury. Turns out that he's going to miss at least the next 4 games. And there's reports that Prescott, he may be put on injured reserve. So Cooper Rush is going to be the man at least for the next 4 weeks to try and build up the morale of the team and the possibility of him maybe trying to get the Dallas Cowboys out of this rabbit hole. And it's been, boy, the Dallas Cowboys, every year the expectations are always high for them. And this year was no exception to the rule, and they have not lived up to it. It's been very disappointing. And, I mean, I don't know how worse it can get. You've got Elliott didn't travel with the team, and then you've got Dak's injury. CeeDee Lamb suffered a shoulder injury in the loss to the Falcons, but he's expected to play in the game against the Eagles. Now you've got Cooper Rush coming in, hoping that a lot of Cowboys fans and even a lot of football fans are looking to see if Cooper Rush can save the Cowboys season, as I stated earlier, maybe to boost the morale of the team. But in Jerry Jones, never a dull moment with Jerry Jones. Head coach Mike McCarthy, a lot of people have been calling for him to maybe lose his job again, not condoning people losing their jobs, but he's been there in Dallas, and it just hasn't hit. There have been a few playoff appearances, but it just has not hit with Coach McCarthy. And Dallas really didn't make any moves in the trade deadline, which I'll get into in the next storyline. But man, the Dallas Cowboys, again, it's the soap opera that never ends, and you've got Dak with the injury. Now Cooper Rush is going to come in and see that somehow, some way, maybe he can save the season for the Cowboys, and it's going to be a tough task for the boys going forward. And my last storyline is going to be the trade deadline. So the NFL trade deadline has come and gone, and the Dallas Cowboys, they made a move, but a lot of people are not too happy about this one. The Cowboys will receive former Carolina Panthers Jonathan Mingo, and in return, the Panthers will receive a 2025 fourth-round pick. So Jonathan Mingo played on the Carolina Panthers. The team has not done anything in a long time. The jury is still out on him. I don't know. It looks like Carolina right now is going to won this deal right here, because they get a draft pick, a fourth-round pick in the 2025 NFL draft. So the draft pick could be a gold mine for a team like Carolina. You give up Christian McCaffrey, you give up a lot of things, and with the whole Bryce Young situation, they need to restructure, rebuild, and then some for Carolina. But Dallas, again, didn't really make any didn't really make any headways when it comes to this deal with the Cowboys getting wide receiver Jonathan Mingo. But again, the Cowboys receive wide receiver Jonathan Mingo, and the Panthers in return will receive a 2025 fourth-round draft pick. Also, some other trade news to pass along to you. Tre'Davious White is on the move. Tre'Davious is headed to Baltimore. So Baltimore will get Tre'Davious White along with a 2027 seventh-round pick. And the Rams will get a 2026 seventh-round pick. So Baltimore getting help in the secondary. Tre'Davious White can still get it done when he's healthy. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. When he's healthy, he can definitely get it done. The Pittsburgh Steelers made some moves. They acquired Preston Smith from the Green Bay Packers. So the Steelers will get Preston Smith, while the Packers will get a 2025 seventh-round pick. Mike Williams, he's on the move. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they get Mike Williams, and the Jets will get a fifth-round draft pick in a 2025 NFL draft. This is big, especially for the Jets, because the Jets can use this pick to maybe get an offensive lineman, maybe get another wide receiver, maybe they can get somebody on defense, or maybe they can get a quarterback to start grooming for whenever Aaron Rodgers decides to hang it up, or maybe if he goes to another team. That draft pick should be interesting. We also had the Cincinnati Bengals in the trade deadline. They acquired Khalil Herbert. And in return, the Bears are going to get a seventh-round pick in the 2025 draft. Also, a big trade with the Detroit Lions. They acquired Zadarius Smith. Not only did they get Smith, They also get a 2026 7th-round pick. And in return, Cleveland is going to get a 5th-round pick in the 2025 draft and a 6th-round pick in the 2026 draft. That was a huge move for the Detroit Lions. You know about Aiden Hutchinson breaking his tibia. That was a big loss for the team and also a big loss on their defense, especially with the Lions poised to make a Super Bowl run this year. They got a good one, not just a good one, but they got a great one with Zadarius Smith, and that's really going to fill that void with Aiden Hutchinson being out with injury. So again, Zadarius Smith is on the move, and he's headed to the Detroit Lions. And Marshawn Lattimore, talked about the Saints earlier. The Saints have traded Marshawn Lattimore. So the Commanders will get Marshawn Lattimore and a 5th-round pick in the 2025 draft. And in return, the Saints are going to get a 3rd round, 4th round, and a 6th-round pick in the 2025 draft. And the Commanders, this is big for them because they need help on the defensive backside. Their secondary is solid, but this is major help for the Commanders, and this is big, and this is a big for Washington. Now, Lattimore is currently out with a hamstring injury, but when he gets healthy again, he is going to pay off big dividends for the Commanders. Jaden Daniels and the rest of that offense is already cooking, but they needed more help on the defense, specifically in the secondary, and Marshawn Lattimore was a big move in heading to the Commanders. And as for the Saints, those draft picks are going to mean something because now they're starting to slowly get into a rebuild or a restructuring period where they can be like, okay, these are these draft picks. We'll see what comes out of this, whether it be a wide receiver, maybe an offensive lineman, maybe we could get a linebacker. But draft picks mean something, and this could help a little bit. I mean, they're still going to be over the salary cap, but this softens a blow just a little bit, not too much. But again, the Washington Commanders will get Marshawn Lattimore and a 5th-round pick in the 2025 draft, and the Saints will get a 3rd round, 4th round, and a 6th-round pick in the 2025 draft. So that was the latest in this year's NFL trade deadline. All right, now let's preview Week 10's most important games in the NFL. The NFL International Series, the New York Giants go up against the Carolina Panthers. And this is the last international game of the year. It's going to take place in Munich, Germany. So for the Giants, tough loss to their division rival, the Washington Commanders, Carolina Panthers, surprise win over their NFC South rival, New Orleans Saints. So for the Giants and the Panthers, both teams are continuing to trend downward. A lot of questions with the Giants. The future specifically at the quarterback position with Daniel Jones. We'll see how it all plays out. He got the contract extension 2 years ago. I don't know. A lot of Giants fans are still shaking their head about this one. If there have been any bright spots for the Giants this year, it's been on the offensive side. It's been specifically the wide receiver, Malik Neighbors. Malik coming back from the concussion and, again, was effective in last week's game against the Commanders. And how about Tyrone Tracy Jr.? Tyrone Tracy has really come out of nowhere this year and really has surprised not just a lot of Giants fans, but a lot of football fans as well. For the Carolina Panthers, again, this is just a game that's, I guess you could say, just a litmus test for the next year, for 2025. Bryce Young, will he be the quarterback for the team? That remains to be seen, but the remainder of the year is basically going to be a chance for Bryce to show the Panthers that he can be the franchise quarterback. He can be that guy that can be productive and try to get them to the playoffs and beyond. And the running game looked good last week, too. Chuba Hubbard, very effective in the win over the Saints. So it's going to be a fun festive with the NFL International Series, the last international game of the season. And it should be a fun one in Munich, Germany, with the New York Giants going up against the Carolina Panthers. The Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Washington Commanders. So for the Steelers had a bye week last week, but the week before that, they had an impressive win on Monday night, beating the New York Giants. And with the Pittsburgh Steelers, since Russell Wilson has become the starting quarterback, the offense is just flowing better. Everything is efficient. And when you've got an experienced quarterback, a quarterback that's played in 2 Super Bowls, he's won 1. Not only can he still use his legs, he's not running as much as he used to, but he can still use his legs. And he can throw on the run. And when he has that pass protection, he can still throw the deep ball. It is just automatic. And as for the Washington Commanders, what a season it's been for them. And what a season it's been for the rookie out of LSU, Jaden Daniels. Jaden, again, another solid performance last week against the NFC East rival New York Giants. No Brian Robinson Jr. in last week's game, but Austin Eckler got it done running and receiving. So this should be a fun one between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Washington Commanders. We've got Russell Wilson going up against Jaden Daniels. Outside of the nation's capital in Landover, Maryland, this should be an intriguing one with Steelers and Commanders. We have the Denver Broncos going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Broncos-Chiefs, classic AFC West showdown. Let's start off with the Broncos. Embarrassed by the Ravens last week, Bo Nix, he had no answers. The Broncos had no answers for the Ravens. And as for the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes and company, they pulled off the magic on Monday night in overtime, beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This should be an interesting matchup. It's always fun when you think of Broncos and Chiefs and just the Hall of Famers and the All-Pro players that have played in this rivalry, like Elway, like Montana, like Marcus Allen, like Shannon Sharp and Terrell Davis and Larry Johnson and Priest Holmes and so on and so forth. Trent Green, just a ton of talent with the Denver Broncos. Peyton Manning. These two teams have had Hall of Fame players for decades, and this could maybe the potential of possibly another classic game in the Broncos-Chiefs rivalry. Patrick Mahomes at the peak of his powers. Bo Nix, the rookie, still learning the ropes of being an NFL quarterback. This should be a loud one and a festive one. When is it not loud and always festive at Arrowhead Stadium? It should be a good one with the Denver Broncos going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. The San Francisco 49ers will take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So with San Francisco, they had the bye week last week, but the week before that, they had a Sunday night football matchup, which they beat their rival Dallas Cowboys. In this game, it was about Brock Purdy. It was also about George Kittle. But it was also about the running game, specifically with Isaac Guerrero. But also some good news in San Francisco this week. Christian McCaffrey, cleared to practice. I don't know if he's going to be ready to play in this game against the Buccaneers. Jordan Mason is out. Looks as though Isaac Guerrero is going to get really the bulk of the carries in terms of the running department, or should I say in terms of the running game. But when you've got George Kittle and when you've got Deebo Samuel, and also Jawan Jennings is expected to play in this game as well because Brandon Ayuk done for the year. So you'll see not only a lot of Deebo and Kittle, but a whole lot of Jawan Jennings in this game. As for the Buccaneers, tough loss last Monday night in overtime to the Kansas City Chiefs. Baker Mayfield played his heart out. It was good, but not good enough. They had their chance, take down the defending champions. They failed to do so. So hopefully they have an opportunity to try to right that wrong in this game in Tampa with the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Philadelphia Eagles will square up against the Dallas Cowboys. Eagles-Cowboys, this is the rivalry that goes back, and a lot of bad blood in this one. And, hey, you know about a lot of the all-pro players and the Hall of Famers that have played in this rivalry for decades. And both of these teams are going in opposite directions. Let's start off with the Eagles. They beat the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. Saquon Barkley running, hurdling over, hopping over defenders, doing Saquon Barkley things, right? The power running game, but also with the hurdling ability and also catching the ball out of the backfield. Jalen Hurts making plays with his arm and his legs. And Devontae Smith making great catches, including the one-hand touchdown, right? And then A.J. Brown suffered a knee injury. He's going to be day-to-day. He may not play in this game, but as long as Philadelphia has a healthy dose of Saquon, and they also have Devontae Adams involved in this game, Devontae Smith in this game, and also, too, Dallas Goedert. Dallas may play in this game. He's missed a lot of time due to a hamstring injury, but they're looking to get him back. So the Eagles have got the hot hand right now with Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith and company. For the Dallas Cowboys, I mentioned it earlier, the loss to the Atlanta Falcons, Dak Prescott, hamstring injury. He's going to miss some time. Cooper rushes in as quarterback. We'll see if he can turn this season around. The Cowboys are still hampered by injuries. This has just been a dumpster fire of a year for the Cowboys, and it will not get easier for them as the Philadelphia Eagles march in the Jerry World in Arlington, Texas. Sunday Night Football, the Detroit Lions will go up against the Houston Texans. So let's start off with Detroit. Great performance beating their NFC North rival Green Bay Packers at a rainy and cold Lambeau Field. Not only were they able to run the ball, but they were able to throw the ball in the brutal weather. Detroit, they hit the jackpot at the trade deadline. They acquired Zadarius Smith and also picked up a draft pick. So Jared Goff, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta and company, and the new Lions, Zadarius Smith and that defense, they're going to march down to H-Town to take on the Houston Texans. The Texans lost a tough one last Thursday night to the New York Jets. Stephon Diggs, done for the year after tearing his ACL. C.J. Stroud, their all-world quarterback, he's going to be asked to do a lot. But he's got Tank Dell that's been playing well in the absence of Stephon Diggs. Nico Collins may play in this game, not so sure, but this is going to be up to really, it's going to come down to the quarterbacks. Jared Goff, C.J. Stroud. Sunday Night Football, the Detroit Lions and the Houston Texans down in H-Town. This could be the makings of a very intriguing game. Monday Night Football, the Miami Dolphins will go up against the Los Angeles Rams. So for the Dolphins, they lost a tough one to the Buffalo Bills last week. Buffalo's kicker, Tyler Bass, kicked the game-winning field goal. Tua protected himself, solid in this game, but Buffalo just had the juice, and they were able to win a close one by 3 points. So the Dolphins remain on this road trip, and they'll head to the West Coast to take on the Los Angeles Rams. What a stunning performance by the Rams in that overtime victory over the Seattle Seahawks. Still got it. You talk about being tough and someone that is resilient and someone that will just not back down, someone that will not take no for an answer. Matthew Stafford, he made some throws that were just phenomenal, and hooking up with Demarcus Robinson to score the game-winning touchdown in overtime. So Monday Night Football, we've got the Miami Dolphins. We've got Tua Tagovailoa going up against Matthew Stafford. The Rams are going to be at home for this Monday night game in Los Angeles. It's going to be lit. Sean McVay, I know he's got a lot of plays in store for this game. Mike McDaniel. We know Miami's offense is pretty fast with Tyreek Hill and company, but they've got their challenges that they're going to have on the West Coast. But Monday Night Football, it should be, at least in my opinion, it should be a track meet with the Miami Dolphins going up against the Los Angeles Rams. All right, now it's time for my game of the week. My game of the week is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Washington Commanders. In this matchup, it's going to come down to quarterback play. You've got one quarterback that is experienced, has played in 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1, but he's lost 1. A quarterback that has been a Pro Bowler for really the first 10 years of his career. You also have a quarterback that in the last 2 years, he went through some major changes dealing with head coaches. You also have a quarterback that appears to have elevated his game yet again due to a change of scenery. You have also on the other end, you have a quarterback that's a fresh-faced rookie. You have a quarterback that is coming off of winning a Heisman Trophy. You have a quarterback that not only can he throw the ball with the arm strength and the accuracy, but he's also not afraid to use his athletic ability. You have a quarterback that is now amongst one of the greats in terms of a Hail Mary pass that will forever be remembered not just by Commanders fans, but football fans. These 2 quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Jaden Daniels. This is going to be an exciting game. There's a lot that's going to be at stake with this one. Can Russell Wilson continue to move the Steeler offense and have it moving very smoothly to not only open up plays in the passing game, but also to make sure Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, and the power running game can get yards? And what about Jaden Daniels? Pittsburgh's bread and butter is the defense. And as talented and as great of a year that Jaden Daniels has had, T.J. Watt has had a phenomenal year on the other side of the field. Pittsburgh's defense, they are going to have a tough task and a tough assignment going up against Jaden Daniels. But one thing's for certain, even with a tough defense like Pittsburgh, and even with the changes that Washington made at defense, quarterbacks are going to get theirs. And I think this is going to be a showcase between 2 dynamite quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Jaden Daniels. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Washington Commanders. My game of the week. All right, before we get on out of here, I'd like to give you my picks on who I think will win Week 10's most important games. The NFL International Series game in Munich, Germany. The New York Giants versus the Carolina Panthers. I like the Giants to win. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Washington Commanders. Very close game, but I like Washington to win. The Denver Broncos versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I like the Chiefs to win. The San Francisco 49ers go up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I like the 49ers to win. The Philadelphia Eagles will go up against the Dallas Cowboys. I like the Eagles to win easily. Sunday Night Football, the Detroit Lions will go up against the Houston Texans. I like Detroit to win. Monday Night Football, the Miami Dolphins versus the Los Angeles Rams. I like the Rams to win. So again, my picks are New York Giants, Washington, Kansas City, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Detroit, LA Rams. There you have it, and that's going to do it for another exciting edition of the program. And again, thank you so much for tuning in to another one. It's great having you on board, and Let's keep it going. And until next time, everybody, I'm Ed Robinson saying so long, and you enjoy the action. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.